and today I'm going to cover the fire service interview. By now you probably realise that there are certain testing components that you need to undertake before becoming a firefighter in Australia, and one of those is the interview. There are some common interview questions for aspiring firefighters that are asked by fire services around Australia and New Zealand. So I've compiled a library of the past 10 years of the exact questions that have been asked in the interview room of every service in the country. However, I won't be discussing them with you just yet, as there is something you must have a firm grasp on if you want to actually get a job over the other guy or the other girl. Knowing the questions that you're likely to face is really nice to know, but it's not the complete picture if you really want to give yourself the best chance possible. So first, let us talk about why you should prepare for the interview. As cliche as it sounds, preparation is indeed the key to achieving your goal of becoming a firefighter. The interview process is a challenge, and so much so that even the best of speakers may find it daunting. If you've done your research or you've experienced the interview already, you would know that most fire services around the country offer advice on how to prepare for the interview. In fact, Fire and Rescue New South Wales has an entire PDF that you can download that tells you exactly how to prepare for the interview. It tells you the purpose of the interview and what they're looking for in the answers that you give. Meanwhile, Fire Rescue Victoria has a section on their website that also explains what is involved in the selection interview. It briefly explains how the questions are aimed at determining your skills, your knowledge, and attributes for situations that you'll come across as a firefighter. So something to note is that everyone has access to this, and you'll find similar sections on the websites of the fire services in other states as well. But what I'm talking about here is how to be better than everyone else, so it would be wise to take things up a notch in my experience. Okay, so what are the common interview questions for firefighters really aimed at? So each fire service will have a selection of interview questions that are both behavioural and scenario based. It really helps if you understand the type of questions that are asked and the sort of answers that the panel members are exactly looking for. In general, your answers to the questions will determine whether you have the knowledge, the skills, the experience and values to become a firefighter. Your answers will also determine how you're likely to respond in stressful situations and how calm you're likely to be under pressure. Plus, what you say will also really reflect on how well you're going to work within a team environment. So firefighter entry interviews around the country are generally conducted in front of a panel, and these panel members usually include both operational and non-operational staff of each fire service. And your goal, as always, is to convince the panel how fit you are for the role and leave an impactful impression to stand out from the hundreds of applicants who also get to the final interview stage. So when answering interview questions, you should have a method. And here at Fire Recruitment Australia, we promote the use of STARLA, which is also the method preferred by Fire Recruitment New South Wales. So let's break down STARLA. S equals situation, being able to describe a situation that you are in that relates to the question. T equals task, describe the task you were required to perform or the problem you needed to find a solution to. A is for action, describe the action that you took in this situation. R is result, describe the result of your action. L equals learning, describe what you learned from this experience. And A is application, describe how this situation can be applied to your role as a firefighter. Learning this method will allow you to supply a comprehensive answer to any question that is thrown at you in the interview process. Quick word of warning though, anyone can look up this method and do a bit of practice on it. So once again, you need to find a way to take it to the next level if you really expect to get a position. So what are the sorts of questions that you'll get? Well, it can be difficult at times to determine the exact questions that the panel may ask you at the interview, but I can give you a number of example type questions. And these will at least give you an idea of the type of questions that you may be asked. And a quick tip and something to note, the position description for the role is an extremely good insight of what types of questions you're likely to be asked. Okay, so here we go with the questions. Question number 1, what experience do you have in working as a team? So the aim of this type of question is to determine your ability to work as part of a team. This is crucial to being a firefighter. And in asking this question, the panel will be interested in your real life experiences where you were required to work in a team situation. And it's good to have a couple of examples ready to go for this type of question. Question number 2, Have you worked in situations that were stressful? So this type of question is aimed at determining how well you work under stress, which is part and parcel of the job. And your answers should include any situations that you worked in where you were placed under extreme stress or where people relied on your quick actions. There's a lot of opportunity in questions like this to actually beat out your competition. And I like to break these types of questions down into three parts, being before the event itself, and after the event. And these types of explanations enables you to show the panel a bit of a deeper understanding of stress and how you deal with it, which is a big bonus. Question number 3, what was your inspiration for becoming a firefighter? Well, this question is looking to determine the reason you've decided to become a firefighter. And specifically, the panel is looking for answers that indicate your values, your ability to work in a team, and your desire to serve the community. You must put a great deal of effort into these types of questions. I find it helps if you break down the role, the parts that appeal to you, and the areas that you have skills and attributes in that will allow a greater contribution to the service. And again, this is another great question that has huge opportunity and potential for you to beat out the competition. Question number 4, how have you prepared for a career in firefighting? Well, in this question, the panel is looking for answers that demonstrate any type of experience that you've had in serving the public and working in a team sort of situation. So your answers can include both paid and volunteer work that you may have been involved in the past. Question 5, explain a situation where you had to persuade someone to do something they didn't want to do. So the aim of this type of question is to get you to relate to real life experiences that you've had that would help you as a firefighter, as most of the questions do. And your answers on this one will show the panel that you have the skills necessary to handle difficult situations, and it also demonstrates your communication and interpersonal skills, which are of extreme importance to the recruiters. All right, so let's say that you've prepared your answers thoroughly. Do you think that's enough? Think again. Making a good impression in the interview is of extreme importance, and the panel members want to get to know who you are and what's important to you. So your delivery is equally as important as your content. So here are some of my final thoughts. I'm sure that by now that you're already convinced how crucial the interview stage is, and the fact that you're still here watching tells me that you understand that as well. Even if you did really well on all the other tests, there is a possibility that you may fail the interview if you don't prepare for it properly, and it's not a risk that I suggest taking, particularly when you're this close to the finish line. It's actually probably the least competitive aspect of the whole process, as usually by the interview they've culled hundreds or even thousands of applicants. So at this stage of the process, you might only have to be better than, say, 20 or 30 other applicants. It is at this stage, though, of the process that I get really excited for the guys I get to work with, because I know that if they simply follow my training and show up to their coaching sessions, that they're almost guaranteed a job as a firey. I really hope something clicked for you in this video. If you're at the interview stage, congratulations. It's a massive opportunity. Please don't waste it. If you have an interview coming up and you'd like to work with myself and beat your competition, then click the link below this video. I'm Brent Clayton, and thanks for tuning in. Speak soon.